Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about an exchange that occurred between a State Department spokesperson and a journalist with the Associated Press about Russia and what they might be planning. That exchange got tense, and people started taking sides and saying who's right, who's wrong, going back and forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about first feasibility. Is what State Department is what they're alleging feasible? Is it something we should really even consider? Then we're going to go over State Department's position, and then we're going to go over the Associated Press's position, and then we'll talk about who's right. Okay, so if you have no clue what I'm talking about, a State Department spokesperson was like, hey, we have information suggesting that the Russians are going to manufacture a pretext to invade Ukraine, and it involves creating this footage and creating the impression that there was an attack and blah, 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 blah. And a journalist with the AP is like, hey, I don't believe you. I'm paraphrasing here. Like, I don't believe you. I'm going to need some kind of real evidence. And State Department spokesperson's like, well, I just told you. We have this information. We declassified the finding, and here you go. And the journalist with AP is like, yeah, that's just you saying it. I'm going to need to see something. And they go back and forth about it. So, is what State Department alleges, is that feasible? Yeah, of course. Of course it is. Best evidence of this is, why is AP suspicious? Because they covered the last time a world power manufactured a pretext to invade a country. World powers do this. Pretty much every major power has done this at some point in time in some way. So the idea that Russia may be doing this, or maybe they don't even intend on using it necessarily, but they want to make sure they have everything ready in case they need to. The idea that this is being set up and that the wheels are in motion to create the impression that Ukraine attacked them, yeah, I mean, that's feasible. It's plausible. I personally would say it's likely. I think it would be a mistake on Putin's part to have not had this set up just in case. So now let's go to State Department's position. If they have evidence, why don't they just release it, right? I mean, if the Russians are doing it, it wouldn't be a surprise. There's nothing that State Department could have or that the U.S. intelligence community could have that Russia wouldn't already know, because they're the ones doing it, right? It goes back to what we have talked about before. The fact that the U.S. has the plans for the new jet fighter, that's not secret. That's not, I mean, it's secret that they have it, but it's not the plans that make it secret. Russia already has the plans. It's their plane, right? It's how the U.S. obtained that information. That's what they're trying to keep secret. Means and methods. Okay, in this case, there are three likely ways that the United States could have gathered this information. The first would be some form of aerial surveillance. And maybe it was conducted by a plane the Russians don't even know the U.S. has yet. Some kind of aircraft of some sort. Maybe not necessarily a plane. So that would be one reason to keep it secret. Another would be, what if this was being manufactured deep inside Russia? And the only way the U.S. could have got it through that aerial surveillance would be if they were violating Russian airspace. Yet another reason to keep it secret. To keep it secret how they got the information. So another way the U.S. could have found out about it would be by intercepting a transmission of some sort. Either a phone call talking about it or an email of the footage, But what they don't want is to let the Russians know that that method of communication is compromised. So they can't release it. Another way they could have got it is by having a person involved in that special activity, having an asset in that crew. Maybe they actually took like a video from their cell phone or something. If they released that footage, what would happen? Russian intelligence would look at it and be like, okay, the person was standing here when they videotaped it. So let's get all the pictures from that day, talk to everybody, see who was standing where. And then they figure out who was standing there. They put together a little picture, a little chart, and they lay everything out. And they're like, okay, Vlad was standing here. Next to him was Igor. And Vasily would have been the person videotaping it. Bring me Vasily. Actually, just go ahead and send him to row 13, plot 12. So it would be bad to release the evidence that they have, right? That's State Department's position. State Department isn't wrong in wanting to protect the intelligence community's assets and protect the way they gather information. World powers do this. This is how the game is played. Does that make AP wrong? No, of course not. AP is, they're journalists. They're not just supposed to run with every press release they're handed. They're supposed to investigate. We talked about hard-hitting questions. Those that were being asked, that's what hard-hitting journalism looks like. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you've given me zero evidence. I don't believe you, you know? So the Associated Press, that journalist, not wrong at all for questioning that. They're both correct in their stance. Okay? And this is one of those things where now that we are back in the near-peer world, it's going to happen more and more often. And a lot of times you will see the intelligence community and foreign policy of the United States, you'll see it attempt to communicate with the other side, whoever the other side is, through the media. And that's really what's happening right now. They're attempting to tell the Russians, hey, we already have the footage or whatever that you guys have manufactured. So when you release it and you say that this happened, we'll be able to blow your cover. So maybe don't try that. They're trying to defuse the situation. Should the AP play along with it, even if they understand that? No, that's not their job. Their job is to do exactly what they did. State Department spokesman, that job is to do exactly what he did. There has been a lot of camaraderie between the spokespeople for government agencies and the media. As we move into near-peer stuff when it comes to foreign policy, yeah, that's not going to happen as much anymore. Because we're not dealing with countries that don't have advanced intelligence services. We're dealing with countries that do. So there has to be a higher standard when it comes to what gets released. You know, when you see those satellite photos that get released to the media, you know, and it's like, oh, look, here's proof that there was a rocket here or whatever. Before those photos are released, the intelligence community goes through them and blurs them, obscures stuff, and it makes the image look worse than what they actually have. This is done to make sure that the opposition nations don't know the United States' true capabilities. Protecting means and methods goes that far. It goes so far that they will actually alter information that they're putting out that's accurate. Here's this photo. We're going to make it more fuzzy, harder to see, because we don't want the other side to know how good our stuff is. We don't want them to have an accurate picture of what we're capable of doing, because we have to protect our means and methods. That's what that conversation was about. They're coming at it from two different points of view, and they are both right. They're both doing their job. Journalists and government spokespeople, they're not actually supposed to get along. They're not supposed to be the best of friends. One is supposed to uncover what the other one is trying to hide. So my personal belief is that Russia is probably doing this. Yeah. But this isn't a reason for the United States to go on the offensive. And I don't think they're trying to use it that way. I think they're releasing this information in an attempt to diffuse the conflict before it starts. Now, if this same scenario occurred and an intelligence agency spokesperson was saying, oh, well, we have the evidence, we just can't show it to you, but we need your support so we can invade country Y. No, doesn't cut it. Doesn't cut it. We have to see the evidence then. This isn't offensive, it's defensive. They can get a little bit more benefit of the doubt. Okay, so let's say that they're not telling the truth. So Russia doesn't do this. No conflict starts. They're not proposing a preemptive strike because of this information. They're putting it out there in hopes of deterring Russia from using it. And the State Department spokesperson said that. Something else that I would point out is that while the Associated Press journalist was very clear in what they were saying, the spokesperson for State Department was not. I don't think that the spokesperson expected to be challenged on this information, so was kind of taken aback by it. Once that challenge was kind of issued, probably should have regrouped and started from the beginning, going over the information again and explaining why it was being released. I know people want to take sides in this. Both sides were doing their job. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.